I hope everyone can hear me. This has become one of the joke of the COVID now. Can you hear me? Or can you see me? Can you see my screen? As popular
All good.
one-liners what we have discovered in this COVID, which was completely unaware or not popular till March, I would say. And this brings us a lot of more challenges also. We have good connectivity in India. We got Geo and all other internet providers. We do have a mobile network, good mobile network penetration. People could work from home, thankfully, compared to other countries. If I see the stats or data, what has been circulated in the market, I can see the Indian incorporation was not getting that kind of setbacks what other countries were facing, including US. So I was talking to one of the study or research where I saw US also was facing a lot of broadband disconnectivity issue. But let's move on from a consumer perspective to a retailer perspective. So vitamin D is what I can see, The first time when I heard about vitamin D is like, oh, we forgot to take vitamin D in COVID. We don't go out. So if you don't go out, you'll not get enough sun rays. That's for your health. But for retailers, it is very important to have vitamin D. Now, what is that vitamin D? Is D stands for digital. So we people call it digital transformation. People call it digital technology, digital payment, digital shopping. A hell lot of things are there in the digital. Starts with D. Now, with sudden lockdown, what has happened in India? Business houses are forced to shut down their business. But yes, not for the longer duration. They started well after a month, but due to pandemic, the customers were not ready to go out. They were facing issues. Even government has said that please do not leave your house unless it is very important. Now, shopping can be important and cannot be important. Essential items, yes, important. But when you're going for your finance transactions, when you want to buy something new, it is not that you will stop buying everything apart from your essential your food grains. Plus, on the other hand, retailers who have opened the shop, like fashion retailers, jewelry retailers, or any other business houses, they cannot remain shut for the whole life, or say 6 months. If you see, they wanted to do business. There were companies who were operating, doing the business via e-commerce, but e-commerce is not sufficient for them to run a business. The primary reason I would say, like, the usage of e-commerce is still not that much. Customers who were very happy shopping to shop, going to various malls and everything, they were finding it difficult. The e-commerce is still not giving that kind of experience what they could get in physical shopping. This is what the point we are going to discuss in today's panel. So what we are going to discuss in today's session, how your company is going to prepare digital network, digital technology. How do you see technology playing a role going forward in the lockdown, after lockdown? Before I move ahead, I would like all my panelists to introduce themselves, a short introduction about themselves, which will help our audience to understand who is who. Starting with Neil.
Okay, hi. A very good evening to all of you. This is Neil Mani Shahu, and I head IT in Kaya Limited. Kaya is offering dermatological services both for India and Middle East geography. And we are majorly into services, products, and we also have chain of clinics. Over to you.
Thanks, Neil. Rahul? Rahul, can you hear us?
Hi everyone, my name is Rahul here. I'm heading technology for McDonald's India, West and South. I hope you're able to hear me.
Okay, I don't want to use the word again. Rahul, you have to speak a bit louder. Maybe our audience may not be able to hear us properly.
Oh, sorry. Hi guys. Okay.
Go ahead, Rahul.
Okay, yeah. So Rahul here, heading technology for McDonald's India, West and South. Yeah, and I think everybody knows about McDonald's and the burgers and fries that we offer. So no introduction there.
Great. Going to Google.
Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Pugal. I represent Tally Solutions. I have been part of Tally for over 20 years. I retired as Associate Vice President, and now I am a Senior Consultant at Tally. So basically, I am a domain expert and a product expert. Thank you.
Lovely. So you handle the backend side of it.
Yeah.
Great. Yakin?
Hi everyone, this is Yakin. I head the IT for Reliance Brands Limited. We primarily deal with international brands retailing in India. We have about 35 plus odd brand stores which we operate across the countries.
Thanks everyone for introduction. So let's start our first question for today's session. And I was talking when you guys were giving introduction. I found that Rahul was talking about fries, chips, and everything eating. And since I'm feeling hungry, it's already 4 or 5 o'clock, and this is a snack time for me at my home. And my daughter is already started asking me like, "Oh, you guys have somebody from McDonald's, so can somebody talk about it?" So Rahul, what do you see? How the companies are preparing for digital transformation, or how does companies are fighting with this lockdown and making sure the business are up and running?
So I think what you spoke about at the initial part of the call, digital is not only about e-commerce and not only about the various ways of selling. Digital is also about various other things that retailers and companies and brands like us are trying to do. Wherein what we are trying to do is that one is, of course, trying to automate and get to things wherein a lot of business processes can be automated in a certain way, which can support the digital transformation. Second piece is, of course, in terms of the e-commerce piece, and I think what consumers are looking for right now is in terms of convenience and in terms of their own favorability in terms of getting food delivered to their home. So a lot of things that are working there in terms of what consumers are looking out for.
Great. So over to Neil. I have a question. You guys are from a Kaya Limited, and which is a very different sector. It's one of the challenging sector also. How do you guys are preparing for this? Have prepared, I would say, lockdown, and where do you see going forward after lockdown?
Okay, so the lockdown has been a very good experimental period for us. So this has now become a joke that, who's leading the transformation in organization. So it would be a bit of repetitiveness, but then the fact of the matter is actually the way we do consultation in our clinic has now changed. Earlier when you get into consultation, when a customer has to plan his day, take an appointment in the clinic, go through that traffic jam, reach that place, get through all those ad hoc things that comes in his life, and after there also he has to wait some time because the customer who's before or after them is not arrived on time, and because of that, so all these challenges used to be there in an offline clinic, but when it happens online, it actually changes the way you do the consultation there. So we also have started or embarked in this journey of web consultation, doing few things in-house, and also we are partnering with different partners ecosystem as well, because fresh set of energy comes when you actually try to collaborate with people who are expert in doing these things, because they are day in, day out doing online thing, and their strength is connecting to customers who are online, and our strength is we understand and we do better treatment. So a combination of these two things is really working, and we see that's the way going forward. So the new norm is not any extreme, neither it is brick and mortar on extreme, neither it is online the other extreme. It's a third dimension. It is somewhere in the center. It's like omni.
Great. So omnichannel, we spoke a lot in past few years. Before I get back to you, I would like to understand, Pugal, you have been associated with Tally for more than 25 years. That's what I heard. So Tally has been a primary accounting software. From accounting to you guys have moved to ERP. Now, but you guys are primarily more of a Windows or desktop-based software. How do you guys have prepared yourself for software to make sure that people were working from home and their business are up and running? What was the thought process? How did you guys prepare?
Okay. Thank you, Puran. See, Tally, predominantly it has been, on-premise software. And, in fact, about 5-6 years back, if you see, we had come out with a remote access facility for the user. And, the best part is, if I can draw a differentiation between an RDP and the remote access that Tally had provided, the best part is, I can access my Tally data from anywhere, of course, with the proper authorization and proper rights and other thing. I can access my data from anywhere in the world. And the best part is that when I'm viewing the data, let us say I am with my banker, and my banker wants my current stock statement. So all I need to do is, I have to just connect my system to the banker's printer, and I can take a printout of my stock summary and hand it over to the my banker. Right. So that way, what happened? That was one aspect. Then recently, in the month of February, in fact, we were lucky that we had never anticipated this kind of a crisis. But then, we came out with a browser access where it was a device independent access of the Tally data. Where in the previous case, remote access, you need a Tally version, not a licensed version, but just a Tally copy you need. But in this case, you just need a browser. You can view the Tally's all critical data on the web browser, through web browser on your mobile, tablet, and laptop. So this way, it was, and in fact, this has really helped all our close to 16 lakh Tally users across the world to not lose on their updating of their business activities and information. So this is what
I'll come back to you with more questions. Let's move on to Yakin. Yakin, what do you see? You're coming from a fashion brand, and you spent almost a decade more than in the retail industry. You have seen retail moving from a PC to normal POS solution to a complete e-commerce. How do you see? Where are we right now? Where are the retailers are right now, and what do you see a future for them?
Well, I believe all the retailers are somewhere in between in their digitalization process altogether. Okay, so everyone was operating at some kind of a level and some kind of speed with some kind of project plan on how they're going to migrate from their static in-house systems to trying to go with e-com multiple channels first, and then once you become multi-channel, then you try and reach the omni-channel particular level where then it just becomes a single simple interface for the customers. And so their customer experience just changes at that point in time when you're completely omni-channel. Similarly, I would say even the journey for all the retailers would be at some point in time right now, when they were in this journey of doing it, what has just happened is that everyone is now forced to think faster and try and move this journey much faster. Just about getting the products and services being visible to the customer to purchase is not the end of the digitalization process altogether. That is just one end point where you are opening up everything to the customer per se. But however, having your entire supply chain back to back working, whether it is in terms of the systems working, the systems integratedly working, how the communications are happening internally, how the warehouse process is working, how your logistics is being managed, etc., etc. They are a large part of the whole ecosystem which has to be thought through on how you go about digitalization, right? So for different retailers have chosen different ways. Some of them have gone ahead with their own websites per se, or they have e-com websites up and running. Some would have gone an option where they have taken marketplace options, so they are listing their products on marketplace and capitalizing that option. Many of the people have also moved in where they do multiple things, so they do a mix of things. So I'm doing it, I'm selling it on this platform, I'm selling it on that platform, I have my own e-com platform. More so with the COVID time, what has happened is the relationship with the associates, the people who are working on the floor, the sales team, the frontline team, their association with the customer is also yielding some results. So there's a direct sale also happening now one-on-one with them. And the businesses are adopting to the fact that, okay, we can have an interaction with the customer, we can invite them over, or we can showcase the products to them one-on-one, and then translate that into sales. So all that is put into this current digitalization process, and that's how I think everyone is moving on. Of course, food and grocery have a different way, different model altogether on how they want to service the customer. Fashion will be having a bit different, and as the skincare business also will be having a completely different approach to this whole thing eventually. And that's how I believe all retailers are adapting to it. The important part is that you have no choice. So you have to reach there. It's just at what speed can you reach there now, and what is the final output towards it. And it's an endless transformation. It's not going to stop only by reaching omnichannel. Today we are talking about omnichannel. Tomorrow we might have something else beyond that. So we have to keep on adopting it. And I think every retailer will also have to work towards that. That's what it is. That's my thoughts.
Thanks again for your input. I'll get back to Neil. Okay, Neil, your sector is one of the I would say luxury sector where these kind of customer comes in. So not everyone comes to your in your company or to take the consultancy. It is very difficult for people to judge a person on a video call, or I would say on a WhatsApp call. So because when somebody is sitting in front of you, you can see his face movement, you can understand his face and how he's behaving and everything. And I think you guys were trying to provide the consultancy based on that. How is that changed? Because I feel people may not be comfortable going on online. Then with security issue also.
Yeah, so that so these challenges remains. So well, you do have these challenges of people being uncomfortable on video calls. There could be things like people might feel that it's getting recorded. It can be used, abused, data privacy and other things is concerned. So actually the need of the customer now is transparency. They would like to be very transparent. They would like an organization with whom they're dealing with to be transparent with them. So in that part, what we have done is we have actually sent communication whenever there is a web consultation happening. We tell them in advance that this is not recorded. Okay. And so we have to behave in a manner that the customer is expecting us to behave. So that creates a trust. And whenever you are trying to embark a journey which is slightly different than the normal way of your working, these are extra precautions that one needs to take care of. In that mode of transparency, a proactive communication to them really help, while there are technical challenges around it as well. Because for any video consultation to happen successfully, you need a source and a target location to be very well connected. That also gives a very bad experience. The perception again here is, they feel that the source is bad, so because of which I'm not able to see. So changing that perception also is very important to, tell people. So these are some challenges that are there, but then with communication and as we move in advance, there are alternative mechanisms through which you can manage this. That is some photographs getting uploaded in chatbot. You do a chat with the customer, some email communication, just to bridge the technological gap. So these are the few things that you need to do for the transparency loving customers to build a strong bond, so that at least you start this journey with full confidence with them.
Great. So I have one question. So on a personal one-to-one consulting, what used to happen, like the discussion used to happen only between two people, and there was points which were taken care of or noted down in the system. How is that you guys are taking care of it? Are you also trying to come up with an AI or some software which starts recording the consulting system, what is the discussion happening, and based on that gives you some data to do analysis? Is that happening, or just a video call?
So right now, the way it's being handled, so getting to AI and all, it's a journey. So the time that COVID could give us was to get into a standardization of processes and system. Okay. Now, the end result, if we want an ML AI end result to be, to be there, what's required is the ecosystem, which is the front end, the touch point with the customer, and the back end, which is the processes and the systems. They need to be orchestrating, in the right manner. Now, if this orchestration is falling in place, which is the first step towards this journey of ML AI, that would definitely lead to a much conclusive transformation through AI and ML. Now, we are also engaged with some partners with whom we are trying to have a pre-post images feed into a model, and what that model would do is it will get into help us get to the predictive and prescriptive analytics, whereby we will be better engaging with a customer in terms of just by uploading an image from your acne and scar photograph, and that image when fed into a ML model will give an output which is with this probability that this output is gonna help him out. I mean, it's a journey for us. Not many people have tried that in India. There are few use cases which is there. We have also embarked in that journey, and we are getting there. But then, most importantly, what's right now required is to have these touch points of the internal and external customer and have that orchestration in place. So once we have that orchestration in place, and then there are this different milestone that will help us get there.
Do you guys also have some apps for customer where they can monitor their stages where they are, their targets, or some suggestions, alarms, or say alerts, something like that? Or do you have, or you are going to work on that?
So currently we are working on consolidating our digital asset. As of now, there are SMS email notification. We have also opened up WhatsApp with them, with a customer thing, because people are more engaged when they interact through a WhatsApp communication. So these are the different mode of communication. We have a very rudimentary mobile app, but then we are getting there to a very technologically advanced this thing. So where the feature that I was talking about, you would have a feature wherein a customer is better engaged by uploading a photographs, and we get some help. And of course, in our business, a customer would actually look out for, nothing can replace a human touch. What people would actually look out for is, if a human experience is better equipped with the technologies. So the technology, there was a good article in Forbes which said that for digital transformation, the technology is second. The first part is people, and a combination of people and technology. So that's it.
Great. Coming back to Rahul, so snacking is something which is like everyone wants to have anytime, whenever they want. Okay. Now installing mobile apps in these COVID times, like no one is going to install so many apps. So especially in my case, I'll give example. My daughter wants to have snacks at least every day basis, but she does not like to get into a mobile app. But at the same time, she does not want a website also. Now, how are you tackling those kind of customers who are your customers, but they want a smoother journey? So earlier they used to just call up, or they used to just walk in the McDonald's store and they can just pick up anything. How are you guys taking care of that?
So, Puran, what is happening is there are a lot of new business models that are evolving because of COVID. I think what you mentioned is part of the consumer journey in terms of what consumers want, that is, and what they are comfortable doing. Second part would be also in terms of what we have to offer in terms of where we see as part of, and we can be part of the consumer journey itself. In the past 6 months, we have actually, as part of McDonald's, we have launched multiple business models. You can say on the go is one business model you can see, which, say for example, you have gone out to do some of your essential shopping, and on the way back, if you want to have a snack or something, then and a McDonald's store is in between, then you can pick up the order using the mobile app itself. Okay, and coming to your question in itself, there are various ways that retailers are looking at it, and specifically us, that we are looking at solving this juggler, you can say. One is in terms of how we can use WhatsApp ordering and conversational ordering on WhatsApp going forward. Of course, I think what the other panelists also mentioned right now is very, very essential in terms of the backend data, the backend, you can say the content management system, the menu management has to be so robust so that the front end is seamless for the consumer itself. So in a nutshell, what I would like to say, Puran, is yes, there are a lot of new business channels that are emerging, that are like WhatsApp or on the go. Even when consumers want to visit the store, it is more or less happening. Maybe say, can I do a takeaway as well now? Because takeaway is one of the biggest things. So from the consumer viewpoint, I can just say there are three imperatives that the consumers are looking out for, and what I would like to call it as 3 Cs. One is convenience. Okay, convenience is what you mentioned in terms of what they are comfortable with and what we are comfortable with. Sitting at home and ordering food, on the go ordering food, or any of the other models. The second one is confidence. Okay, and having that confidence in a retailer or a brand that instills saying that they would have the desired hygiene levels to maintain and be able to produce an order at the same hygiene levels as what there was previously is very, very important. And third would be actually coordination. Okay, like how the entire one is the digital technology piece, and secondly how the entire piece in terms of operations and technology would come together to give a superior experience to consumers. So that is something that I would like to say in terms of the 3 Cs that would be there.
Great, thanks. I was hearing a lot about WhatsApp, So I remember, I think 3 years before, web browser was everything. A lot of people wanted to get into .com, and there was a .com burst also we had. So everything was happening on the web. Then suddenly the mobile application came in picture. So there was a time when every brand had a mobile app. But now, as I said, it is difficult to install all the mobile apps from all the brands. Some of the brands have started coming with a super app, like Tata. I heard about Tata, like they are coming with a super app for all their brands and everything. So plus there is a WhatsApp. WhatsApp has become a de facto application for communication for everyone. Now brands are also talking to or communicating with the various brands, like that's now Neil also said, like the customers are ready to share their pictures on WhatsApp. Now, WhatsApp is ready, but what is required for WhatsApp to effectively communicate with your business? What do you see a gap and what do you see a solution? Yakin?
So, as of right now, there are various models of the WhatsApp business application, which is available. One is WhatsApp Business App itself, and the other one is the WhatsApp Business API, which is the higher version where you can actually do a lot of programming and interfaces into the system. Smaller retailers, they have really capitalized the WhatsApp Business App because it's as simple as just downloading on your phone and start using it, and you can start interacting with the customer. Of course, the requirement is that the customer has to initiate the conversation with you. You can't do a marketing activity from your side.
Okay.
So that's what is the basic rule for WhatsApp to start off with. So I can't just can't put up a contact list into my WhatsApp Business App and say, okay, hi, hello, how are you? We are here, kind of a thing, right? So you can definitely do marketing in terms of sharing your WhatsApp business number for the customers to interact with you. And basis that you can take it forward as to whether you are doing a grievance call with them, you're helping them out with something, you're supporting them, or if he's asking for any product and services, and that's how you can go about doing it. That's primarily there in WhatsApp Business App. When we come to the next level where we say that it's WhatsApp Business API, then it's a larger deal that you have to get into, because then what is happening is that you're trying to showcase your entire products and services through the WhatsApp application medium. However, it's quite similar to how you would be having a catalog management system to which it has to be connected, and you have to get your live data and your live products and information coming from your catalog management system all the way here for the customer to browse. So customer is using the interface of WhatsApp for browsing instead of doing the browsing on the website directly. And of course, within that, then whichever way that you kind of reach to a particular decision that you want to buy a product, or you just having some information about the product, and once you reach the decision of buying it, then of course you can just send him a payment link through an SMS or something like that, and they can make the payment online, and the transaction is done, and that's how it all settles down. So two different mode of business that can be done through it, the WhatsApp Business channel for now, and that's where we are. I think the WhatsApp Business app has been adopted quite well by the smaller retailers and smaller business owners for that matter, because it's very easy of operation. But I think there are API models like, you can say you have Book My Show, or you have airlines, some of them are doing it. So that's where they have the API mix, they just give you information back to you. OYO is one of them. So they are using business APIs also for that matter, and that's how you can go about. But so the bottom line is, for any of the business who wants to open up multiple channels to their customers, the primary requirement would be to create their ecosystem first, okay? And the content management of their product and services is the most critical part of it. In fact, most of the things will rely on that, because that's going to be your source of, you're going to be generating sales from there, you're going to be showcasing your products to the customers, and eventually it is the same product and the product attributes which are going to be helping you with all the AI and the MLs people keep on talking about, in terms of what is the customer's pattern, what is he buying, what else can he buy, etc., etc. So it all comes in from that basic catalog, which is the key. So I'm sure every business right now is either already there, or they are continuously working towards it to get their content management up and running for that matter, so that they can supply information to multiple channels and then proceed in their way, how they keep on digitalization ongoing for their organizations.
Thanks again. A last question to you in this regards. A lot of small retailers, they are facing challenge, like they obviously they may not be able to get a WhatsApp business. They may be able to get a WhatsApp business. One point you mentioned that the catalog is very important for the WhatsApp business, and I think building a catalog is not that easy task. So do you think there are any systems available or providers available which can build a catalog overnight, or say within a week's time, or with a minimum cost? Because small retailers, they face a lot of challenges. They don't have that much money to invest in to build a catalog.
So let me just say, when I said WhatsApp Business application, then it's not the catalog thing that they have to worry about, because then there's the products, images and stuff like that, which they can keep on interacting the way you and me will talk and share information, one-on-one with the customer in that context. But when you go for WhatsApp Business API option, then that's where you want to automate things. You want the chatbot to take control. You want queries coming in from the customer live in English, and then it translates it. It picks up the right products from this catalog management system. So if I say I want to buy brown formal shoes, right? So then you want to list out all the brown formal shoes. So there is no individual trying to respond to this. Then you have a chat box who works up into the catalog system, picks up the products, and then starts displaying back to the customer. So there's live interaction happening there. Now, for something like that to happen, then of course you will have to build a catalog management system in some of the systems. Most of the organizations that I've seen, or most of the retailers who have gone through this journey, they have always have their own OMS built up on the website in e-com, and that's the same product catalog management that you will do out over there, which you can use to kind of even translate it to WhatsApp API channel for that matter. I haven't limited information on if we have any smaller systems available directly, which some cloud-based service provider who could be having a catalog management system on its own as only the system. I'm not aware of that right now. Usually it is a part of the entire e-com suite of journey, because you create the catalogs and then you display to the customer via a website, and then you start transaction from there. So that's where it is.
Great, thanks again. Coming back to Google, I was trying to understand. You mentioned that your software is now ready, and the people can work on your software for working from home. So have you guys taken a journey of cloud, moving to cloud, or how is it going to be? That's one question. And second question, how are you tackling security? Because you guys have a lot of financial data. You can't just give it to anyone and everyone.
Your second question, could you please repeat, Mr. Puran?
Okay, the second question, how are you maintaining security of your application to make sure no unauthorized access has been given to in a system, or there are enough measures taken care in system?
Okay. Right. See, firstly, if you take the accounting world in our country, see, the accounts is something. Uh, Traditionally, it is a family-run business, and now we have, graduated. But whatever said and done, if you see, till about say about last 5 years, 6 years, accounts has always been close to the owners, right? So definitely, I mean, like as an owner, I would never want to, I mean, like expose my accounting information. So that was one of the very very strong premise that we had at Tally, and that is why we didn't just jump into a cloud system, right? So on premise, if you see, basically the owner has got a complete control over his data. Now I was talking about the remote access and the browser access. Now again, there is no data is going to get stored on the cloud or anywhere. Basically we have a Tallynet server which acts as a conduit to basically transport the data from the on site on premise systems data. Now of course we have the authentication is there for the person to access remotely and all those things. Yes, now since the trend is always, I mean, there is large acceptance among the businesses today to have data flexible. I mean, like I mean, cloud is one place where anywhere anytime you can access your information. So we at Tally also are working on the cloud solution. But I mean, there are changes. In fact, I mean, like now this last 3 years, I have not got much involved in our R&D and the other aspect of it. When we used to do our monthly, let's say about 5-6 years back, when we used to do our monthly reviews and other things. So our vice chairman now, Mr. Bharat Goenka, used to always say that I mean, like we have to solve the problem of cloud, where you need to take care of I mean, like online, offline, intermittent online. So how do we solve this problem? So probably there is something going on inside, right, where these kind of challenges are considered. And I mean, the day we come out, one thing I can say with confidence, that the day we come out with the cloud, it's going to be a revolutionary way of accessing data with complete reliability and trust. That is what I would say. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tugal, for information. Coming back to Rahul, okay. Rahul, I was talking to you other day. You were talking about a lot of innovations happening in your organization, and you guys are thinking a lot about customer first. So I'm trying to understand. Company was always the customer first. You had so many stores where customer can walk in, they can experience, they can enjoy the food, everything. Now that enjoyment or that joy of having food is gone. How are you guys planning to create that magic again?
So, very good question, actually, Puran. As in, again, in terms of I think I spoke about the 3 C's earlier, in terms of providing the convenience factor, having and the consumers having the confidence in our brand. So, a lot of what is working for us right now, I can tell you, is that we have to provide assurance to consumers. That is number one, that the food and the kind of beverages are getting prepared in a kind of a hygiene environment. So we are taking a lot of digital steps to do that. Okay, like for example, having all our crew temperatures being displayed on invoice, having an automated way of putting in the entire attendance monitoring system as well, so that the crew itself feels safe in terms of walking into the store. Plus, what I spoke about was the other factors are also in terms of the other digital channels that we are coming across. For example, in store, of course, remains the biggest the biggest part of the business. But since now everything is happening virtually and most of the business has moved to online, the flip from online to offline for a pure play retailer has happened, or a brick and mortar retailer has happened, wherein we used to see around 20 to 30% of our business happening online. Now it's been the reverse. And in that sense, that brings a lot of challenges to a retailer like us, wherein we have to be agile, we have to be on our toes in terms of launching new schemes, launching new items, launching new products in the market which are consumer facing. So it's not only about having the same taste and having the same and keeping the premium effect going, but also understanding the consumer needs is the need of the hour for retailers like us, wherein and just to add on to that point, I think we are a multi-channel organization. So if you look at the business that we do, we have various business models. We have in-store, we have drive-through, we have other business models in terms of the delivery piece. Plus we have, okay, can you hear me now? Hello? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Yeah, so the other business, yeah, so the other business models are in terms are in terms of, say, we are now also, as in we are listed with Swiggy and Zomatos of the world in terms of the third-party aggregators as well. Plus, now what we have started also doing is that what you mentioned, app in app, a lot of super apps that are being developed. For example, the Google Pays of the world, the Paytms of the world, the Phone Pays of the world. We have our own digital assets that are sitting on those apps, which the consumers can experience and then can order food from those apps directly, okay, which was not there earlier. So all these facets of business are coming up, wherein we are more and more growing omni-channel and more having multiple channels that we are interacting with the consumers. That in itself is bringing challenges to us in terms of having that one single view of the consumer, which is how does an online customer come to our store in an offline world with, and vice versa as well, which is something that is a journey that we are embarking on right now, wherein we want to get to an omni-channel view of our consumers. We have an omni-channel view wherein we have given multi-channel view to our consumers, but now we want an omni-channel view of our consumers as to how they interact with us. What is their propensity that they buy from us? Do they visit us in a store in an offline environment on a weekend, but on a weekday wherein they are in office or they are at home, do they buy online? Okay, so that is kind of the advanced, you can say, digitization is something that we have embarked on, and happy to say that we are making quite a bit of progress there.
Great. Now, one last question to you. So a lot of times we used to go to McDonald's to celebrate birthdays, where we used to call our friends. And I'm talking about the days when I think decade before. We used to call all our friends, let's celebrate birthday. That feel is gone now. How do we? Are you a company, or is your company is trying to recreate that magic, or doing something or working towards in that direction? Because this offline world or this lockdown is going to be there.
Yeah, so ironically, Puran, if you ask, as in all our digital assets that we have, the mobile apps that we have, we've actually started selling birthday offers or birthday packs on our digital assets. And if you want to contact our stores, and if you have, say, a small party in your house for, say, 5 people or 10 people, you can order McDonald's for them. Okay, and you can still keep the magic going. Of course, in-store is something that is challenging because of government regulations and permissions that we still don't have the in-store going. However, what we have tried to do is that we have tried to bring the in-store experience in the house of the consumer. And that is where is helping the consumers to have trust in us and continue the partnership that we had.
Great. Thanks so much, Rahul. Coming back to Neil, okay, in your business, it's only one-to-one personal consulting. Do you feel like you guys need to create community of people to bring them together, or make them much more entertaining, coming to your shop or say your organization? Are you guys thinking something on that lines? Or it's going to be always one-to-one?
So one-to-one is just one aspect of it. So we normally have events also around getting a community of people visiting our clinic. That really helps spread that word of mouth thing with our customer. We also some time back, we started this initiative wherein the customer who was a Kaya customer, and an event was organized in the clinic wherein they were supposed to come with their family members, friends, society members. And there was a social event conducted around that. And of course, that helps further add on to business. So not always it is one-to-one, while most of the time it is. But then there is this social event also being organized to get that connect with the customer along with their different connection or peer group as well.
Thanks, Neil. We were talking about the customer experience, and when the customer used to walk into a mall, and I'll give my personal experience. When I used to go to a mall with my family, the idea is to just do a window shopping, and if we like something, we'll buy it. But before buying something, and my wife, I will give an example of my wife. She would like to check out 3-4 shops, and she used to try also. We have seen virtual try-ons on various websites, but that has not given that kind of comfort. Where do you see that companies are still working on virtual try-on, or they are trying to come up with something new to replace or give that experience?
No, so I don't think we can replace the actual physical trying out of your merchandise, whether it is any kind of merchandise for that matter, whether it's just an apparel or whether it is bags, shoes, belts, anything. So I don't feel that that's going to go away. So I guess at this point in time, you have to find out ways and means and how you actually have your merchandise made available to a smaller set of customers, invite them on a special case on by invitation, get them to the stores, let them visit you, and then interact with them and let them take their own time and shop for the products. We have also seen some places where some of the retailers right now, what they're doing is that their interaction with the customer is remote, okay, and they shortlist a few products saying that I want X, Y, Z, and then they keep it ready as an appointment. So they take a shopping appointment exactly for that many time at that particular time, and you have a very limited amount of people in the store for that matter, and there is a one-on-one interaction, and they offer the products, and the customers come in, try out the products, and they actually then take the decision of whether they want to buy it or not, and stuff like that. But at this point in time, a lot of merchandise and the physical stores are following this kind of a routine of inviting customers in, one-on-one interaction with the customers, letting them choose the products the way they want to try it out, X, Y, Z, and then we follow the hygiene mechanism and get the merchandise back into shape for a new customer over the next day or something like that. So I haven't seen any solution as of right now which way you can say that I'm doing a virtual tryout and I'm just going to buy it, because that's not going to be the case. A lot of e-com buying right now is happening for basic, fashion and basic needs of the individual customers being at home right now. So those are standard ones. But when it comes to experiment or experiential buying, then I don't see we have any option as of right now which can be into a digital platform where you can have the same feel, because it's actually the touch in the end, right? So it's the touch and the feel and the look at that point in time, and that's what results into buying the particular product. I'm sure in your case also at TBZ, you can't do a virtual product sale to them, and at no point in time you can have any digital solution where you can say, okay, just let's just put a bangle on your wrist and see how nice it looks, and can you buy it? So it's not going to happen. It's eventually going to come and actually try and see it, and that's the time when they're going to be doing it. So I think it's some more time if we can reach to any solution like that, but touch and feel is here to stay. That's for sure.
Okay, Yakin. So this is the first time I think I'm hearing that somebody is saying that virtual time will require some more time. A lot of partners have reached. Virtual time is the next thing. A lot of customers, a lot of retailers are using it. It will increase your sales and everything. So I haven't heard any success story from any of the known contacts of the retailers world. But yes, people are trying on it. My only worry right now is like this lockdown. It's become a never-ending lockdown. We have been already spent 6 months in lockdown. The business is picking up, but still the customers are not coming out. last question to each one of you. I'll start with Pugal first. What do you think is important for a business house to generate more business or get more customers? What a company can do? From your perspective.
I think I'll start with that if you don't mind, everyone. Sorry. So I think the basic thing is about trust, right? If you have built a trust with the particular customer about your product and services, no matter what happens, that trust is going to get them back to you. So the brand promise, products, quality, trust. They're all in the end is trust, right? So we have customers who call up and say, boss, I want this. It's just because they have the trust in the products and the services of a particular brand, and that's how it goes about it. I can even answer, multiple times even Rahul said for that matter, right? So when you asked him about the customer enjoying a particular meal sitting out at McDonald's itself. Now, I personally also as one of those customers who with the family would like to enjoy that, especially on the weekends with the breakfast being out over there, right? So now it's just a change. Okay, fine. I still want to have that, but I cannot go into the McDonald's restaurant, but my car is sufficient for me to have that moment also. But the trust with McDonald's in terms of saying that I'm going there, the product is going to be the same, everything is going to be hygiene, available, etc. That's where it is. So I think the key is going to be how you maintain the trust with your customer to keep them coming back to you, and that's how you can continue during these difficult times for now. But it is going to come to an end at some time. It's not going to be a permanent situation for sure.
Great. Thanks
again. That's all from my side.
Out, back to you.
So, in addition to what Yaqeen mentioned, I think we've still not seen normalcy return. Okay, and everybody on this call and maybe all other retailers in the past 6 months have struggled. Okay, initially, what is going to be the new normal? What is going to be how consumer trends are going to change? How consumer buying patterns are going to change? That is going to be ever evolving, I believe. Okay, and I think for us to say right now that. What will it take for brands like us to get the same kind of experience back? I think trust is of course there, and the confidence in the brand. But we will have to be agile enough. We will have to innovate so that we constantly look at new consumer patterns. We look at new consumer buying behaviors, and launch technologies around that which complement the business outcome as well. So I think that would be the key focus area for our business and for a lot of retailers going forward, as to how we are more agile in terms of meeting the new demand or meeting the new normal that is there in front of us. In all likelihood, this is going to stay for 6 more months. Okay, so we have to be ready for that for that in terms of what we see. But yes, we are going to see normalcy return in some way or the other, because businesses can't go on like this, right? So that will happen. But yes, what I feel is that as CIOs and as IT heads, we have to be agile enough to counteract and supplement the technologies that we would need in terms of launching new business models.
Great, thanks, Rahul. So coming back to Neil, there's enough technology solution available in the market to serve the business to customers? Neil?
Sorry, I lost that question in between. Do you mind repeating?
Okay. I'm just trying to understand, do you think that there are enough technologies solution available in the market to serve your business to customers, or there is a need of new technology? Like we have heard about AR, VR, the AI, ML, a lot of things are there in the market. Do you think there are enough technology, or do you require some more technology? This question is open for everyone. So starting with Neil.
Okay, so as I mentioned initially also that there is no shortage of technology. There's enough. Okay. If we try to capitalize on this technology, there's enough technology which is currently available. So we are currently in an age where we are talking about how we do things. Okay, so digital transformation is all about the way I used to listen to music, long time back, and now it has changed. So the how we do, is there. But then there is, I think, in future, what's coming is, what you do, which is the AI, will completely change, because it's no more how you do, you get into the next level where it's like what you do. So that journey, I mean, we are very, we are very lucky to be in this era where we are seeing so much of technology, which is flooding. At times we are getting constrained by the resources in terms of the connectivity, the resources in terms of having a digital first mindset, and the different qualities that are required for getting into a digital transformation, transformed organization. So there is no dearth of technology. It's only our constraint. And as I've mentioned earlier also, that orchestration of the back end and front end needs to be there for, so even small things, why talk about AI, ML, even very small thing like, I'll give you a case example. Now there is a tech savvy guy and there's a doctor. The strength of doctor is healing people, and the tech savvy guy strength would lie in playing with different technology. Now these are two different skill set. Okay. Now these two different skill set, if not mixed in the proper proportion, what would happen is the doctor would end up depending on the tech savvy guy, and this would create a dependent ecosystem. Okay. A dependent ecosystem is like every time a doctor needs something, he'll have to depend on this. Now the good thing that can happen from this mixture is the tech savvy guy and the doctor, a combination of these two. What good can happen from here is if the tech savvy guy is able to democratize the technology and empower the doctor to do things by his own. Okay, so we actually don't need AI and all stuff like that for that. We actually need simpler and smaller things. That how do I make this small nugget of technology democratized so that I can empower my doctor to do things by themselves. And so till today we are struggling. We have a generation that doesn't know how to download, forward WhatsApp images and all, which is our like parents, and we understand. We have a gap here. So similar gap exists in an organization as well. So to me, technology is there, and it's flourishing. As Yakin said, there are a lot of things that are gonna come. So along with trust, technology, somewhere, this combination of these two things, this tech-savvy guy and the doctor. So how do we actually create a proper mix of this so that we get an empowered doctor who would like to do a web consultation? He doesn't depend on anybody. He goes, books the appointment, do the consultation, put the 360-degree information in this thing, get the insight from the system, close the thing by himself. So that's my point of view on that.
That gap is still pending. Pugal, what do you think?
Yes. I think continuing to Mr. Neil's thing, like, how do you orchestrate between the back end and the front end? Let me give a different perspective. Basically Tally as a business solution has always been the foundation of the business, where, it can support your various other activities. Like, for example, how do I know that I get my CapEx budgeting done, and do I have those budgets with me? So this the foundation is your business solution software. What I generally feel is that for every business you have two arms or two eye of a business. One is business solution software, and other is all those complementing apps and other digital technologies and other things. Now, just to borrow the 3C from Mr. Rahul, I would say that the most important thing for any business today during this crisis, and also to be the businesses to be prepared for the future, so that we are not. This was like when we used to be young, we used to play this game where you say something and then you stop. Statue. It's like the entire world has gone on statue. Yes. Next time we should never get into this thing. The 3 C's are very important. One is that how do you manage your cash flows, right? So what are the things? How do you manage your receivables payable? Are your receivables, are you getting your receivables payable on time is one aspect. So this is where the business solution software is going to, help the businesses to be on top of their business operations and also have the data, because data is going to speak the truth and it breaks the myth. So the data is going to tell. Now, how do I have control over my receivables? Do I have credit facilities and other things? So that is one is my cash flow. Then do I have a visibility of my cash projections? Right, which takes care of my receivable, payable, and various other recurring expenses and other things. The second aspect is basically the cost cutting aspect. One is that yes, there are two kind of costs that one is visible cost, which obviously we are aware of those costs, and there are many costs which are like invisible or sunken cost. One quick example is that like you have designed a credit period for your customer, and in case if you're not getting your receivable within that specified period, the number of days that is getting delayed, the loss on return on investment, basically the interest. See, I feel that every credit that you extend to your customer is you are giving interest free working capital to them. So in fact like you have to get it. So these are some of those things, like for example, are you maintaining lean inventory? Do you have a JIT stock? Just in time stock. So for that, how do you use your business solution software and see that you are on top of these operations and other things? Now this is where I feel that it is very important now. The businesses need to transform their operation and various other activities by adopting technology, and of course digitization is going to be the future. So we have to move and then be prepared for any seen or unseen or unforeseen crisis in the future. That's my take.
Great, thanks, Google. Now, the last one-liner I would like to know from everyone. One-line statement for our audience. How do we take it, move ahead? Starting from you.
Well, I guess plan where you want to reach with respect to your organization's current position to where you want to reach in the whole digitization process. There is no choice that you can stay out of it, that's for sure. Okay, so earlier I would say that there was the new generation which was more apt for the digital world. COVID has made even the earlier generations adopt to digital much more faster than we would have thought about it, or they would have actually done, because there was no immediate need for it. So now practically you have the entire population around the globe which is more digitized for that matter. So the retailers have no choice. So given that situation, there is no question whether should we go ahead on digital or not. It's just a journey which has to be adopted, and you have to start working towards it and make it happen. That's all.
Great.
So vitamin D, as you started, as you started with your vitamin D in the start, this is the other vitamin D without which the businesses, for retailers at least, it will not work if you don't take this into action. That's it.
Great. So Rahul, what is your vitamin D ingredient for our audience?
So I think digital is the way forward. I think what Yakin mentioned, there is no two ways about it. There are a lot of business models that are coming across which are being found basis digital. So that is one thing that we can't run away with. I think in a way, what has happened over the past 6 months has been a boon for IT CIOs like us, wherein a lot of business ROI and justification would need to be provided for digital transformation earlier. Now it's been done by default. Okay, so I think we also need to be champions in our space, wherein we need to take the initiatives ourselves, wherein we can drive the cultural change, drive the digital transformation change within our organizations, so that the new normal, as and when it settles in, it is with vitamin D and with all the other vitamins that any retailer would want. And of course, vitamin M is of course very important, and to what we want to sustain and what we want to do.
We also need a vitamin C, customers. So
yeah, that's
to
true.
have good customers, we need to have vitamin C. We need to spend good amount of vitamin D. So, what is your vitamin D formula?
Okay. My vitamin D formula would be like, definitely yes, the digitization, the small steps that the businesses are taking towards digitization is like planting a digital seed in their organization for their future growth. So one liner again, if I would, if I have to, like say, then it is awake, arise, and act.
Fast. Great. Thanks. Neil, you there? Okay.
Yeah. So one good thing about when you have to say last is, all the things are said. You just have to summarize.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. What is your vitamin D formula
So
for
my
our audience?
vitamin D. So if the end is vitamin D, then your means to get it is what Rahul said is vitamin M, and then what Pugal said is your input. You plant the seed, and what Yakin said that we just need to move on.
Okay, so this summarize. So let me summarize this conversation. So we all are on the journey of digital transformation. We have started slow, but with COVID, thanks to COVID, I would say, and we have started moving faster. And yes, one of the good thing is like there's no new technology came in COVID. We had enough technology wherein people can started using various technologies. They started integrating various technologies like WhatsApp, CRM, e-commerce, cataloging system, cloud, and everything. Whatever systems what they have, there was no dearth of technology, and due to which the days were able to do the business. But yes, there's a lot to be done. There are a lot of innovations required. There are a lot of integrations to be done.